starting to shake the shack pretty good. And it's still a little over an hour from when it's supposed to be bad.
Oh, the day I break these chains, I'm bound for the life of the simple thing.
I'm almost over to the newest location that I've been working, and it's kind of a unique opportunity to show you guys the next stage of the process on producing a well. When we're working this gate guard job on the oil and gas rigs, that's when they're drilling it. And so the next step in that process on these shale whales that they're drilling out here in Midland right now is fracking. And so we're coming up on a rig that had just finished drilling, and now they're setting up the fracking equipment to go ahead and frack that well. And we're getting ready to drive right by it here. You can see those big tanks and the crane over here and all the stuff they're running down into the hole here. So shale is extremely tight, so it's not very permeable, unlike sandstone and stuff that you have a lot of permeability in that rock. So basically you can push water right through sandstone, you know, and it'll go right through the whole section of sandstone, or gas, or whatever you want to do. You know, you can pump CO2 or whatever, and it'll go through sandstone. So all of the oil and gas, well, all of the oil at least, that we had been producing in the beginning of this century, and probably till the late 90s, mid 2000s, was all sandstone. And that's because they could get the oil out by putting pressure either with water or with CO2, and get the oil to come out of the well with some help from those pump jacks, right? In one that didn't really want to produce well. Well, now they've moved on and they've developed technology to be able to produce oil out of shale. So shale is extremely tight, and you can't just push water or air through it like you can with the sandstone. So they have to fracture that rock, and then they need something to hold those fractures open. So they do, so when they're fracking, they're basically pumping a slurry of liquid and sand into the hole, and they fracture the rock, the shale, inside the well that they drilled. And what I mean by well that they drilled, so they have these drilling rigs like I'm about ready to pull up on mine. And so inside that hole, they fracture the rock in the reservoir area in the shale once they get to that depth. And they pump this slurry of sand and liquid into the hole. And then what that does is that sand actually keeps the hole open, or the cracks open, so that the oil can flow out of the shale, the rock, into the fractures, and then the water or the air can push it out. Now they don't really use water like they would with sandstone when they're doing it in shale, because that will actually turn the shale to a mess a lot of times. But they can use a brine, so certain amounts of salt added to that water will help keep the clays that are in the shale, that make up the shale, from basically swelling up and having the whole well collapse in on itself. So it's really interesting stuff. This is getting to be a little bit of frustrating. So some stuff's been going on with guard 1, and some changes that have been going on with special well types. And so several gates this last 2 weeks have been lost by guard 1, and I'm kind of getting a little frustrated just because I didn't really want to come out here to during the holidays. I would have liked to have been with people that I knew and I cared about and stuff. And we had some friends that were there in San Diego hanging out with Carolina. I would have loved to have been there doing that. Instead I was working in at a guard shack and then spending the night sitting in a Planet Fitness parking lot with nobody that I knew, you know. I didn't know anybody. I was there so new. I hadn't really made a lot anything in the way of friends with anybody in this area, right? But I did it because I wanted to be able to help, because I was told that that basically they needed me out here because they were so short-staffed, and it was obvious because when I first came out here I worked a couple of 24-hour shifts in my first week, you know. And I did that because I wanted to build a good reputation, and then hopefully I'd be taken care of later. Well, right now it's not really feeling like that, because I've basically been on the rigs that have been going away, and so we've been thinking that we're going to a permanent gate, and then all of a sudden it gets to the rig move and it disappears on us. And so that's been happening, and it's been really frustrating for me. So I'm getting a little nervous about whether I'm going to be working or not, you know. Well guys, I've finally got a new rig site. Carolina and I are over here at this location. It's super close to town, so it's been awesome. We've only been here a couple of days now, and now the rig here happens to be finished with the first part of their first well, where they're basically trying to drill out this spot in the earth to go beyond any kind of water table or anything like that. They've pulled all the drill pipe out of the hole, and they're running the casing here. So this is what the casing looks like. This is pretty large diameter pipe. It's about 10 inches. I don't know if you can tell that from what you're seeing here, but they're putting that in there, and then they're going to cement it in. That way there's no problem with like the fracking material or the drilling mud that they're going to start pumping down there and stuff, in getting into the water, you know, the groundwater and everything. So that protects it, and then they'll go back down into that and start drilling some more further down into the ground, and later on they'll do more casing all the way to where it's going to go horizontal. They're going to start going horizontal through the shale where all the oil is. And when they're doing that kind of stuff, it makes the night a little busy. So up to this point, it'd been pretty busy. We got a tornado watch tonight, guys. I'm not too thrilled about that and everything. It's supposed to be large hail, so I'm a little worried about the RV. The winds are supposed to be at least in the sustained in the 30 to 40 mile an hour range, with gusts in the 60s. And I'm in this little shack. Hopefully I don't blow away tonight. That hail would probably do a pretty good number on the RV. Some of the guys here on the rig were showing me, you know, last time it was like full golf ball size or larger hail. So we'll see how she goes. Well guys, the wind is so strong I had to go ahead and bring the light tower down so it didn't blow over. And starting to shake the shack pretty good. And it's still a little over an hour from when it's supposed to be bad. We got tumbleweeds going every which way. It's pretty dusty. The hail is started. It all looks pretty small though. It seems to be mainly rain. Storm is just now getting here. We'll see how it goes. I definitely can hear it. It's not just rain, but I think they're all little. Glad they haven't gotten large yet. Let's cross our fingers. I don't need any damage to the RV roof. Well guys, we haven't gotten any hail. The lightning's been really light, but it's definitely wet outside. Starting to penetrate into my jacket here a bit. Get out there, connect with people, live your big story, and make sure you do something every single day to reduce world suck. Peace, guys.